damn, you have a lot of stuff.
What's on there?
Floaty and Alone and Easy Target.
Yeah, that would have been in the 38th Street house.
Right. This is January of '92. I came home and I had written a bunch of stuff on the road in my hotel room.
Do you want to play that one?
Yeah.
Heavy Handed was a good song. I don't know if you remember that one.
I don't remember Heavy Handed. I remember Alone and Easy Target. That was the, like, Kurt heard that and kissed me on the face. As he was in a bath. He was so excited. He was like, I hear you recorded some stuff with Barrett. I'm like, yeah. He's like, let me hear it. And I was too afraid to be in the same room as he listened to it.
Oh, there's times on here, huh? I didn't zero it. God damn it.
Produce, Barrett. Suspense is killing me.
It was isolated. People literally did think like we lived in teepees.
It's a little town vibe with a big city attitude.
Read a lot of entrepreneurial success stories, and it could be because there's nothing else to do. But I also think that it has to do with an eagerness to try new things.
It's beautiful in the summer, you know, it's those long, moody winters.
It's hard to describe, really, the oppression of low black clouds and kind of light pissing rain 9 months out of the year. It gets old.
Being in a windowless, soundproof basement, it's not really that big a loss, really, when the weather's horrible outside. You know what I mean? It's like you might as well just, like, isolate yourself from the gloom and just write some songs.
I had just been to Seattle for the first time maybe 3 months before I moved up there. I didn't know anything about the city.
This is where I live. This is my house. And that's our van. Pretty cool, huh?
I didn't know anything about the climate.
It's really cold.
I moved up there with nothing and moved in with people I didn't know. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Seattle. I have a lot of heartbreaking memories. Seattle's like my phantom limb. I still feel it.
I grew up in Richland, Washington, which is about 4 hours east of Seattle. I was in Sunny Day Real Estate, just prior to the whole grunge explosion. And then I remember, literally just watching it go up the charts, and our minds were being blown. We were rooting for like a sports team.
Black hole sun, won't you come? Wash away the rain. Black hole sun, won't you come?
You ready to make some noise?
Wow, man. Oh my God. It's like, reminds me of a ancient spa.
Kurt wanted to record a new song that we'd been working on while on tour, and someone told me about this really weird studio right down the street from where I lived. So Chris and I decided to go check it out.
What were your first impressions of Robert Lang's studio?
I thought it was the coolest place ever. And the drums sound so good in that room.
Doesn't follow any of the rules of a normal studio in terms of design. It's kind of like a bizarre castle underground. There's no parallel walls. The surfaces are all uneven. And it's stone.
There's something to the sound of subterranean. Nothing resonates too much. You just get the sound of the instrument itself.
Robert Lang Studio had such a big impact for me because it was the last place that Nirvana recorded. It's where I did the first Foo Fighters record by myself. To me, that place represents totally starting over. Look at your view, man.
Yeah, how about
Okay,
that?
so what part of this was the original house?
The west wall, 20 feet by 20 feet, over there, by that corner is there, Dave. It went.
So when you first found the place, it was just a little garage?
Little garage with
on
a
the
beach
street
house.
level?
That's correct, yeah. And they said that I wouldn't be able to build a studio in there, but after I took the classes at K. Smith Recording Studio America, I decided to start excavating.
How many trucks of dirt did you haul out?
A couple hundred, at least. 10 years of digging, and I'm still not done with it in the back over here.
Was this the first room?
The first room was there, 20 by 20. Yeah.
Wow. I want to look at it. So this was the original garage.
This is the original
And what was it
garage,
like when you first started working in here?
Just 4 cement concrete block walls.
It used to be that on the other side of that wall was just dirt.
Dirt. Yeah. Whatever my friends, I would trade studio time, for guys to come and help me dig. I bought a conveyor belt. Okay, let's go,
I remember when it was just the one cavern
And then he started, what do you got going there, Rob? I'm building another cavern for a symphony. Okay.
Far down. It goes right there.
Isn't that nuts?
That just scared the shit out of me.
Bob's the mad genius. He's just going to be digging and digging, you know? I mean, there's always something. Another room? Where'd this come from?
Wait, was this here or not?
No, this. What's going on?
Watch out! Oh, God.
You're at your own risk in here. How's your insurance company doing, Bobby? Oh, yeah.
Did you take lessons for this shit?
No, never. I just figured it out, you know. I almost got buried live a couple times, but I remember the local bar up here, Duffy's. They had a freaking pool, like whether the little man was going to be buried alive. You know, then when the neighbor's wall collapsed, that's when the building department came in here, and boy, I'll never forget that. Wow.
Bolt and stone. I don't know of many studios that have what you have.
It just, God, you know, that's a good question. I think I was destined because I'm cutting on a piece of marble and a bright flashlight happened. I see a saint in the marble holding a vivid candle with lit flame, and head, eye, nose, mouth, eyebrow, you know, little beard, you know, a whole torso. And I looked at my buddy John, and I said, God damn it, John, that was some pretty freaking good bud, you know, man. It's like...
You showed it to us when we first got
here.
here.
I think I gave you...
I mean, I swear to God, we walked out of here like, this place is freaky. We gotta work here.
Yeah.
Hey, what was the Dave Matthews thing?
Dave came, and they did like 30 people in the studio room. It was a live thing. And then,
why did he pick this place?
Just the vibe.
Crazy how it feels tonight. Crazy.
What did the Presidents do here?
They mixed that whole record here. Lump,
Oh,
Peaches.
really?
Yeah. Death Cab, you know, Death Cab for Cutie.
Oh, did they do a bunch of stuff
tracks.
here?
Yeah, a couple of their different records.
Oh, no way. That's it. Look at that.
Yeah.
That was for like an X-Files.
It may have been. I think so.
Session.
I think so. It was.
That stupid fucking hat. What a jackass.
Oh.
Look at me. God. This used to be your paper route.
That's correct. I grew up just about 3 blocks up this way, up east from here. Good
So
family.
what was Seattle like then?
Wasn't much to bring anybody here outside the clean air and the mountains.
54,000 horsepower transonic wind tunnel at Boeing.
It was all about Boeing initially and the World's Fair when we moved in.
This was pre-internet, pre-Microsoft, pre-Amazon, pre-everything pretty much.
There was shipping, aerospace, which Boeing was part of, and there was still logging.
You may tire of me as our December sun is setting, 'cause I'm not who I used to be.
What did you know about Seattle musically then?
Well, Seattle had good music already going on. People like Ray Charles came up in Seattle, and Jimi Hendrix did, even though he went to England to make it. There was the Kingsmen, and then Mary Lee Rush and the Turnabouts. She had that hit, Angel of the Morning.
Cherokee people, Cherokee tribe, so proud you live, so proud you die.
And then I remember the only band we listened to was the Sonics.
Or she'll put you down.
She's the witch, da 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 da.
Say she's the witch.
influenced so many good bands in Seattle. I think every house in Seattle had a Sonics record.
That sound, the Northwest sound, was really grungy even before what they called grunge happened later.
What did you even call your music? I mean, what was that?
It's just rock and roll. I used to drop tune my E string to D so I could make it sound like it was bigger and meaner sounding, you know, rough sounding. I'd get a pick, heavy pick, and put screwdriver grooves in it. And then you scratch it with the pick. You get these harmonic overtones. And I was really into sounds like that, making it sound mean. Because I wasn't any good. You know, I couldn't play the darn thing, but make it so you're squeezing the life out of that guitar neck, you know?
Did people get into it?
Apparently, and we thought it was totally illegitimate. We always felt like maybe we're not really, maybe we shouldn't be here. We were playing at the Spanish Castle, and some guy came up and asked if he could sit in, like they always do, and we were trying to politely say no. And I don't know who told me this would know it, but he said that was Jimi Hendrix. And he had his own guitar and amp in his trunk, and that he would have brought it in, sat in.
You didn't let him jam?
No. A bummer, if I only had known.
You know, in the early 70s, there wasn't really much going on regionally that I could see as a teenager. What did we have? We had Heart.
There's that whole attitude of girls can't rock, but I never heard anyone say that about them.
So at what point did the Heart thing really start to come together?
My sister ventured out first and joined some of the founding fathers of Heart. One of them was the brother of a draft evader, then being from the era of Vietnam. He had snuck down over the border to watch them rehearse in this garage, and Ann was auditioning for the band. And they locked eyes, and it was zing! It was the Magic Man moment. So she followed him up to Vancouver, and the rest of the band followed her because they knew a good singer when they saw one and they heard one. So that's how come they started up there playing cabarets and stuff first. And I joined after a couple of college years. It was sort of a sound that emerged from Ann and I trying to put like a poetic spin on jam music.
Fuck, we have the coolest rock band, you know what I mean? Like,
they just kind of became a huge band that was also touring all the time.
As of the early 80s, there was kind of a new wave punk scene sort of bubbling up here in Seattle.
The U-Men and the Blackouts, those were kind of the kings of that scene.
There was nowhere to see a band. The Vogue only had shows on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we had the Central Tavern, and we had maybe the Ditto Tavern. And I think a lot of bands would skip Seattle because it was just too far of a drive.
If you're in a band and you're traveling around in a van, and you know, the kind of information traveled the way it did at that time, are you really going to drive 900 miles from California to play a show to 5 people in Seattle?
Nowadays, everything's interconnected so much that all you have to do is pick up your laptop and see what's going on Tuesday night at that tiny club in Portland, Maine. When I was young, as a touring musician, it was a crapshoot. You never knew if the promoter had put flyers on the street. You never knew if the college radio station was playing your band's music. You'd show up to a club and cross your fingers that people would come to the gigs so that you could get gas money to go to the next city.
From Minneapolis to Seattle is 2,000 miles. Good luck on getting any shows in Spokane or anything, forget it, you know.
I got the real sense as a kid that, you know, the scene in Seattle created itself because
It's a network of hobbyists who are just playing for their friends, and when you're playing music as a hobby, you take more risks. And from that attitude, a lot of these bands kind of created their own style.
Did you imagine that you were going to start a record?
Became a column in a local music magazine, now defunct, called The Rocket, and he put out a few cassette tapes. And then he put out the Sub Pop 100 compilation record, which had different bands from all over the country.
Pressed 5,000 copies, sold them all. The next record I put out was by Green River, who I thought was awesome, featuring Mr. Mark Arm, who went on to start Mudhoney and so forth. The third record was Soundgarden's Screaming Life EP. John Poneman was probably the biggest Soundgarden fan in Seattle. So we joined forces to put out that record, and then we opened our offices and put out all sorts of legendary stuff.
Did anybody have any formal business training or know what the fuck they were doing?
Still don't.
Sub Pop figured all of that stuff out by fucking up and trying to learn from them.
We rented our first place on First in Virginia in downtown Seattle, April 1st, 1988, and we've been going out of business ever since.
I remember early days of Sub Pop, we'd get our checks, and we would literally run down to the bank, because whoever was first in line would probably get their check cashed. But at the same time, we were okay with it, because we were sort of all in it together. You know, yeah, we get pissed, like, how am I gonna pay rent this month, or whatever, but we couldn't take ourselves so seriously. We weren't LA, we weren't New York, so in order to sort of
There was absolutely no thought of commercial success. I mean, commercial success, I mean, if you could make a few $100s at the Vogue on a Tuesday, that was kick-ass. Half the musicians were working in restaurants or cooks or just horrible day jobs. I at least had the studio to starve in. You know, I was making $5 an hour.
Jack would tell me about the interesting things that he had recorded. He said, this is great. Some of it, he would go, this isn't so great.
Jack's relationship with Bruce and John
created something that defined the entire city.
I have the studio logs from that time period, and it's insane. It's just like, yeah, Soundgarden, Green River, Mudhoney, Mother Love Bone, Nirvana. It just goes on and on.
And then Charles Peterson put a face on that sound.
I remember Mark Arm was talking to Bruce Pavitt. He's like, oh, check out these Green River photos that
As soon as I saw those images, that very second, it Charles Peterson is the definitive visual artist of Seattle during that period. He'd get right in the pit. All of the images were blurred, so they're all action shots. And he would capture the audience interacting with the band.
I wanted to really portray that catharsis that happens. It's like, why do people go to shows? Why do musicians get on stage? Especially in this sort of setting. They're not making money. The band's not hugely popular by any means. It's just really that they want to come together and have that release.
Before this alt-rock kind of boom in the early 90s, like, you know, being a kid in the suburbs, like, you think that the only way you can be in a band is if you can play, like, shredding guitar. Like, I remember I can't do that. Mudhoney was pretty much my favorite band when I was 15. The songs were so fucking catchy and at times so sloppy. Hearing them gave me the confidence to start playing music with other people.
When the music scene started blowing up in the 90s, were you paying attention at all at that point? You were out of it.
Yeah, I was totally out of music then. After '67, the Sonic seldom ever played again. I went in the military, came out and raised my daughter as a single guy for the next 15, 20 years.
They were latecomers. They were kind of the outsiders, and we were all a little bit like, I don't know if they're up to it.
Nobody knew who they were. They didn't have a name when they recorded with me. It was just Kurt Cobain and his friends.
Nirvana did a little showcase for John and I. It was John, myself, the bartender, and the doorman checking them out. And we thought, yeah, I think there's a single in there.
The very first time I saw them, they were at
When I joined Nirvana, they had one record on Sub Pop called Bleach. By our standards, it was really popular. Girls liked Nirvana. Girls didn't really like the bands that I had been in or most of the bands that we played with.
The rest of the world was not really paying attention. Bruce and John had the clever idea of getting an English journalist out to Seattle to write about it because they said, okay, if it appears in the English press, suddenly the American press is going to notice it, which was a very, very clever move.
And after NME called Nirvana Sub Pop's answer to the Beatles, major label scouts started coming out and checking out the band.
Think you want some water to put out the blowtorch?
When did we all come in here? What was that? That was
An X-Files thing, remember? We did the Gary Newman song.
It was fun to be living in Seattle and be the age that I was and have come from the scene that I did. I was not really part of
I'd get 2 tape decks. I'd record guitar on one cassette, sing along to it as I hit record on this other cassette. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of songs I never wanted anyone to hear because I was mortified. I was practicing. I was woodshedding. I was writing just to exercise that muscle. It was just fun. I was in bands with brilliant songwriters, great singers. Who the fuck cared about what I was doing on my time off? So I'd come home from a tour, or come home from rehearsal, go into my basement in the house I lived in with Barrett Jones, and he'd hit record, and I'd record some songs on my own.
Perfect, man. Here, let's listen to it. We had the house on 38th Street. Was that the first studio?
Yeah.
Right. I don't know, how much stuff did I do? I don't even remember.
There's like 40 songs.
Wow.
Of 40 various things. I mean, some of it's just fucking around, you know, the hooker song, which is still awesome. Do you remember that one?
No.
Come on.
Hooker on the street, moving the feet. Hooker. She's hooking it to the clinic for the clean yard.
Amazing.
What else do we have?
This reminds me of our living room when I hear this.
It down, down. You watered it down. Water, 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 water it down. You watered it.
Yep. Yep. That's what you did. That's how serious you were.
Just making music. Here comes. Wow, that's fucked up.
More tapes.
It's a treasure trove.
The last thing in the world that I ever wanted to do in Nirvana was disrupt the chemistry of that band. What we had worked pretty well. Kurt wrote these unbelievable songs, and all we had to do was plug in and play. Explain what happened with Nirvana leaving the label and going to DGC.
Well, that's a very interesting question. Nobody's ever asked me that. I thought the label had generated an enormous amount of hype and attention on Seattle, on the label, on the bands, but at the same time, we're very cash-strapped, so I fully understand why an artist would want to maybe make more money. So it was just one of those things that happened.
Could you imagine that what happened was going to happen?
Could I imagine that Nirvana would become the biggest pop music phenomenon since the Beatles? No, that did not cross my mind.
Here they are, Nirvana.
Suddenly, there was all these hard rock bands from Seattle on the album charts. It was crazy.
Knocking Michael Jackson down to number 5.
Bands like Soundgarden, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, and Pearl Jam from Seattle, Washington.
You don't remember when I bet, Kurt, that you guys would be on the cover of Rolling Stone by the end of the year? You did.
Even Rolling Stone magazine calls it a startling success story.
And it happened kind of all at once.
I remember going into a grocery store and hearing Smells Like Teen Spirit.
And the winner.
Like, you just don't go into a grocery store and hear one of your friend's bands.
Probably the biggest band in the world right now.
The band's new album will debut at #1 on next week's tour.
You know, from then on, everything went crazy.
Look, Mom, your favorite, Nirvana.
The nation's media have declared Seattle the coolest place in the known universe.
Every flight was booked with A&R people from LA on their way up here to court the next Nirvana.
Seattle was an exciting place to be in the early 90s, but it was getting to be a little surreal because there was so much corporate interest in what was happening. You'd open up a magazine and there would be the grunge wear section, which you would have your flannel shirt, your jeans, and your work boots. And there were grunge pencil sets being sold down at Walgreens.
I could have saved you some cash on this call, but what do I care? We're getting the band back together. Hey, Slick, you could have spoken for a lot less by dialing 1-800-COLLECT.
Even to Seattle? Thanks, phone dude.
Everybody was trying to jump on the bandwagon and be, sound like this or that band from Seattle. I kind of watched it happening and I was just like, oh my God. And I wanted no part of it. Pre-drugs, pre-business. There was a lot of crazy fun that happened.
I mean, it's really good. I just wonder if that's the
right vibe.
Yeah, because everything else is so trippy and atmospheric.
Get it. That's as dry as we can get it in there.
And the good thing about it is that it doesn't sound like anything else on the record.
What if Dave played the cymbals and I just played the drums?
Yeah.
Like.
Cymbal separation technique is where you do the drums separately from the cymbals. And it gives you ability to manipulate the sound of the drums even more because you're not dealing with the bleed of the cymbals. And this is all sort of technical bullshit. You probably won't care, but I'm telling you anyways.
Man, we like one fucking drummer, man.
I would be so much better if Dave would just play the hi-hat.
Maybe I'll just become the cymbal guy. I'll be like, this is the carnival all night. And I would like only play the cymbals. Totally. Hello, I waited for you. Ever tonight.
And be the lead singer. That would be badass
Yeah.
right in front of the stage.
Just me up there with
and lead
cymbals.
vocals.
It'd be awesome.
Okay, fuck.
Totally. All my life I've been something never come. I'm the lead cymbalist.
Oh, we would be so fucking tight.
Well, let's record one, see what happens.
Whatever.
Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. From the top. Let's try one. Here we go. Same punch here. Give me one more of those. Lovely. And one more.
Kind of don't really remember a lot of that summer.
I ache a little bit when I come to Seattle.
Leader Kurt Cobain, an extraordinarily gifted singer, songwriter, and guitarist, was found dead in Seattle on Friday.
8:30 this morning when an electrician came here.
Most powerful voices of his generation.
He was the lead singer of one of my most important bands. It wasn't the 24-hour news cycle thing that happens now. So it came out, you know, a Time magazine a week later, Rolling Stone a couple weeks later, and so it didn't go away that quickly.
How do you think it affected the city?
Well, it's, you know, even just you saying it kind of gets me choked up. It's like, I mean, I was 17, and I remember, like, you know, it's, you remember, like, my mom coming into my room in the morning and being like, you know, honey, Kurt Cobain just died. And I just lost it, you know? I lost it. And it was like, I have to go to fucking school now? You know, the music didn't have to be important to you to understand how important it was to other people.
I don't bring this up much, but it affected me really, really strongly on a personal sense because my father committed suicide. So at that time, I remember going to the memorial almost like grieving as much for my father as I did for Kurt. I mean, it sort of became all kind of one.
Kind of maybe one of the last people to see him, you know, and I wrote a column about it, you know, where I apologize for not calling you that you lost your friend, you know, rock band stuff all aside, we know about rock bands, but you got your friends, you know, and so I just want to say that. Sorry I never called you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
after Kurt died, I didn't know what I was going to do.
I spent a lot of time doing nothing. No radio, no TV, nothing. I just couldn't stand the sound of music. I was scared of music. I remember being in Ireland, driving around the country, away from everything. Just rocks and moss and sheep and being totally disconnected from the rest of the world. And I drove past this kid who was hitchhiking. And he had a fucking Kurt Cobain shirt on. And I saw that and I thought, fuck, I gotta do something quick. And then I realized that music was the one thing that was gonna help me out of that place. So I started writing again, starting from scratch.
The one thing that I found out about starting over is that, yeah, you are truly pigeonholed.
I knew that everyone only knew me as the drummer in Nirvana. But I felt like I had nothing left to lose.
The early 90s and mid 90s. We all had to sort of like back away from it and start over.
We've been to more than a few funerals. Seattle's lost a lot of great talent. But in some ways, that loss has only strengthened our bond. The Seattle community has always been close. And we are like a family.
Throughout my career as a musician, I've been so blessed to have this community of people who are other songwriters and bands that we're really close with, that we've, toured with, that we've gone and sang on their new thing or played guitar on something. And, just being a part of a community, I think is what really pushes you forward creatively.
I think that if you believe in yourself and you believe in what it is you're doing, you don't worry about what's going on outside, that always seems to draw excitement. People are drawn toward confidence, and they're drawn toward someone that seems to really be into what they're doing.
I'm gonna pop some tags, only got $20 in my pocket. I'm hunting, looking for a come up. This is fucking awesome.
I was an underground rapper for 15 years, really. The Seattle hip-hop scene was small, like super tiny. No one came out of this neck of the woods. Sir Mix-a-Lot did, but it was almost an anomaly. I never thought that I would be in the position that I'm in now. Never thought that one of my records getting played on the radio was even possible.
Walk into the club like, what up, I got a big cock. I'm just pumped, I bought some shit from a thrift shop.
When we put out the album, the first week, labels started calling.
Was this on your label?
Yeah, we did it ourselves. And we did a music video, and it started to gain traction. And it's like, we're watching the numbers go up. It's 2 million, 3 million. It jumps to 10 million, 15 million. All of a sudden, like, this thing is viral.
You were the #2 record on your own fucking label.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fucking rad.
I'm gonna pop some tags. Awesome.
I have always felt that the revolution starts at home. You do things the way you want to do them, you create a culture, and eventually it can blow up, and that's pretty much what happened in Seattle.
As new talent and new scenes have emerged in Seattle, it's amazing to see how much of the past is still making a mark today. I mean, the Sonics have actually started playing together again. Ann and Nancy Wilson from Heart are still doing it. And Sub Pop, still going out of business.
What do people do when they come in here?
They freak out, just like you did when I saw you walk up here.
Don't you think it's fucking weird?
It's very surreal, yeah. It's even more surreal that I have to get up at 10 minutes to 5 to go sling records. You know,
The
that's
fucking airport.
Yeah, at the airport, yeah.
Hey people, Mark Arm of Mudhoney here. To avoid transporting items without your knowledge, please keep your carry-on and checked baggage in your possession at all times. Report unattended items.
It's a weird world we live in, isn't it?
And if you see something, say something. Seattle-Tacoma International Airport welcomes our military.
What's your best-selling item in the shop?
What if I told you it was Nirvana, Bleach, and not Nevermind? Would that end the interview?
Okay.
Only because we got our Nevermind shipment late.
Nothing left within. I've been mined, hell and back again, subterranean. I've been digging in, down inside. I will start again, subterranean. But the truth is so unkind. Why do you know how low the sky? Yeah, the truth is so unkind. Why do you know how low the
my God, we did Kids in America.
Yeah.
Let's hear that.
We're the kids in